Alright guys, hope you all are doing fabulous. Let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to use the inks, the magic inks, okay? Okay, so let's confirm that you have everything that you need on your tabletop. Today, although we are working with a new product, which are our permanent markers and our inks, our Blooming Magic inks, I'm going to give you options. So there's a lot of things on your tabletop you may or may not want to use or may not use. It's your choice. But these are all things that you could possibly need should you be doing any one of these designs or using this technique. Okay? Alright, so you do need a napkin. That's the one thing I always forget to add on here, but you do need a napkin. You always need a napkin when you're doing nail art or nails of any sort. Okay? Alright, so you have your mat. Okay. You have your napkin. Today you can either freehand this spider or you can do the transfer on your either one of the transfer sheets that you want to use. If you want to do the Halloween sheet or the smiley face sheet, it's up to you, whichever one. Today is not focused on Halloween, but we're doing an animal. If you want to look at it that way. If you do not celebrate, I completely understand, respect that. And you can see it as we're just drawing a spider, or you can see it as I'm just going to pick a different design. Do a little heart. It'll be just fine. Okay? So those are two products that we're having. You're going to have your transfer sheet. You need 2 permanent markers. Any of the colors is fine. Make sure they kind of go well together. You have your alcohol. If you want to use your paints because you don't have your gels, fine. They don't work as great. For drawing, I'm going to be using the black paint. If you want to use your black gel, that's fine. If you want to use your nail polishes, that's fine. If you want to use your gels, that's fine. Just your choice. Some work better than others. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but just your option. Gel will always kind of be, the best. You do have 2 ink colors. Okay, we do not need top coat today. Yeah, we won't have time for it, so I didn't add top coat or base coat, but good question. When you're actually doing it and you have time, yes. Always a base coat, always a top coat. Yeah. A lot of times we won't use it just because of time. We just don't have time. So you have 2 colors of your ink. If you have the white one, no, I'm sorry, there's no white. If you have a clear one, you can use it, but it's more of a diluting color, and you can't really see it. So make sure you have 2 pigmented ones. You're gonna have your click finger stand, your base. You have a nail tip that came with it. You got 2 nail tips of the white ones that were up here on my table. You have a finger that came with this base. Okay. If you still have your fingers in your box, it's really bulky, so you can take it out and put it in a zip baggie or in a smaller container. Your ring, if your ring is broken because it broke during shipping, you gave it back to me. I didn't have any extra to replace you, so I gave it back to you. I'll teach you how to fix this should you need. You have your pipette and damping dish if you choose to work out of it. If you don't, you can work out of your little bowl, little dish here. It's your choice. Your stamper, if you choose to use it, you don't have to, but you can. If you're going to go that route, bless you. You have your lights, your stork scissors. If you are going to transfer, then you do need your silicone brush to push down the transfer. And your brushes. So at this point, any brush that you choose to use will be fine. If I specifically say, okay, you're gonna need this brush, then I'll specifically say it. But Today for the spider, we are going to be using the dotting tool, if you're going to freehand, dotting tool to make the head and the belly. And then the legs are going to be with the teeny tiny brush. Now, as far as for painting, polishing, adding alcohol to our inks, either the brush that you crimped or, which I forgot to put in your kit, one of these white and pink brushes. So you either picked a slanted brush or you picked a flat brush, okay? So either one of the two will work fine, and you can honestly use any one of these brushes when we're working today, okay? The stork scissors are there if you're going to do the transfer, and the transfer is wider than the width of the nail for you to cut the excess sticker that you created. Some of these things, like I said, if you don't do the transfer, then you're not going to use this. You may not use this. You may not. There's things you may not use. But when doing this, this is what you need. So if you take a picture of this, the next time you're going to go do this technique, this is what you need to pull out. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our Sharpies. Okay, let me talk to you about, clear my station here to give me more space. Let me talk to you about this finger. You probably saw last school year the hands that were running around, okay, that kind of look like this, but it's the whole hand. The original one is called the click hand, okay, because the nail tips click on. You can hear a click when you put them in here, okay. And then they came out with these individual fingers, and I thought they were so cool. But then I saw the stand. I was like, oh my gosh, we need the stand. So your extra $20 paid for this. I know we used kit money and not the extra 20 to pay for all the stuff, but this was one of the things. So it goes in like this. The reason why it has a little thing here is because it's connected to the actual hand. If you were to use this if you had the whole hand that clamps onto the table, okay. So you can put the finger in this way, or you can put the finger in this way. Some people like to hold it like this when they're painting. So, I mean, there's no right. You can even do it. No, you can't do it sideways. But there's no right or wrong way, okay? Whatever works for you is the right way. All right, so they do sell replacement of the actual fingertips, okay? Your goal, bless you, when we start filing and doing acrylics and all that good jazz, is that you don't scratch the actual fingertip. If you scratch the fingertip, that means you cut your client with your file, okay? But you can buy these in a replacement package and replace them when they get gross, because they do. So if you ever are looking for, when you buy these, you're either going to get some replacements in the package that you bought. Now, I would highly suggest that you write down the brand or buy extra replacement tips, because when you come by and randomly look on Amazon or wherever and buy random tips, the rectangle that is on the underneath doesn't always fit this rectangle. So like, let's see, this one I can't, the rectangle is too big. It will not go in. So if you can buy extra when you're buying your finger, do it, or write down the name of the brand. The other thing is, when you buy nail tips and it won't fit, you have to file this down to make it fit. So let's say this is my file. I'm going to file it down. So it's like this in a rectangle, and I'm going to file it to be a point so I can wedge it in to the hole. That's the only way that you're going to be able to make it work, okay? So that's the only bad thing about that. You can buy them in, the normal color that they come in are these brownish colors. That's the one that just comes with them, the most popular one. Then they came out with the white tips, which was pretty cool because, you know, it's just on some designs it's better. And then they came out with the clear ones, which are even cooler because it's clear. I wish that they had like the stiletto lengths and the coffin. That would be really awesome in different lengths, but I've not seen that yet. But you can buy them in different colors. And then for sizes, and you either got a really wide one or a really narrow one when you pick the two off of my table, but they do come in all sizes, from biggest is the thumb and smallest is the little finger. So that's depending on the width of, you know, the nail tip from side to side. So that is how those are, work, function, etc. Sometimes you're not able to have the nail tip on here. You take it off and you literally just work like you're working on a stand and you put the nail in. So you don't have to necessarily use the finger, okay? So what we're gonna do is go ahead and take your white nail tip and you're gonna pop it in. And when you pop it in, it has little ridges, so you'll hear the little click. And we're ready to rock and roll, okay? We're gonna start off with our permanent markers. Now, first thing I want to say about our technique today is that we're gonna work with the alcohol. Remember, if you're running out, just refill, you don't have to ask. If you prefer to work out of your damping dish, then put some alcohol in your damping dish. Totally your choice, okay? You have options. I'm gonna work out of my dish today because we have not done that yet. So when we're working with the inks, you can do the DIY, I saw it on YouTube style, where you use permanent markers, or you can use a professional, I'm using paints, okay? Now, always go professional, because why should she pay you if you're using a Sharpie, right? But sometimes they don't always sell all the colors in the polishes. So if you have a bride that comes in and she wants a metallic, excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my throat, a metallic pink with the dark pink and light pink, and you just can't find the polishes to it, then you can use a Sharpie. I'm not saying it's professional, I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying you can make it happen if you need to. Now you can mix your colors to make any bright yellow, blue, right? There's no black, but there is clear, which will dilute the color of the ink. But you can, if as an option, you can customize it. Customizing something for a client means you charge more what? Money, okay? You get lobster instead of chicken nuggets, right? Okay, so with your permanent markers, it is super important though. These markers that you have here, I only use for nail art. So don't go, oh, I need a Sharpie, and go to your rinky-dink little pencil pouch and then get your Sharpie that's all tattered and used and the lid is chewed up on and the, you know, the words are, you know, rubbed off on. You don't want to use that. You want to keep it professional. So you can use any brand, it's fine. This is a random cheap brand that you get on Amazon. They work just perfect. You can go to the dollar store, it works just fine. The only thing is that with the Sharpie brand, they just have such an array of colors, and they have the metallic and the glitters and the, so they just have more options as far as colors, okay? The glitter ones are really pretty, the metallic glitter, because they have like the shimmer to them. It's really nice. But again, I'm not saying it's a professional thing, okay? All right. For projects, it's amazing. So what we're gonna do is we're going to draw a cow-like technique on the nail. Then we're gonna use our alcohol to spread and mix those colors, and we're gonna make the ink bloom. Now, this is 70% alcohol, which means 30% of it is water. It's not gonna work as amazing. It's not gonna make the ink bloom as nicely. We're gonna work with what we got, okay? All right, open up both of your permanent markers. Pump you out some alcohol if you're working out of your pump. If you've got your damping dish, just have that close to you. Remember, if you're right-handed, your supplies are on your right-hand side. If you're left-handed, on the left-hand side. And then take your brush, the white and pink one that you got today, get that ready as well, because that's the brush you're going to use right now. All right, so what we're going to do, you don't want to take too long because you don't want your markers to dry out, so we're just working fast. So I'm going to start with my lighter color. If I start with my dark color and I accidentally then go in and touch my yellow and my blue, do you see my tip, how it got dirty? And then if I want to use yellow later, it's not yellow, it's now green, right? So don't cross-contaminate your colors. I'm going to start with my lighter color, and I'm going to just do like random marks, dots, small, big, large, whatever. Kind of like cow-like. No rhyme or reason, just throw it on there. And then, oops, I forgot I didn't have a lid on it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your darker color and don't go over the, I'm going to say yellow and blue. Don't go over the yellow or whatever color you have. Go around it or in spots where that pigment is not already there. And just like random zigzag, cow-like, doesn't matter. Little dots here and there. But try not to overlap. If you do ever overlap, take a napkin or take a paper towel that's kind of absorbent, or a piece of paper, and just color over to get rid of the stain on the marker. Okay. All right. You cannot take too crazy long with the inks, but with permanent marker, you're okay. The longer that it sits, like if you come back in 5 minutes, it probably not gonna work as well. It needs to be fresh. So you're gonna take the brush that I gave you today, the pink and the white handle. It's yours to keep. I don't want this back. Okay. You're gonna take it. You're gonna dip it into your alcohol. You're gonna tap it on the tip, the belly of the brush on the side of the napkin because I don't want it to be dripping. And then I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna drop off alcohol. And I'm going to tap, tap, and I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm going to watch my inks combine and spread. I'm going to pick up some more alcohol, tap on the side of the belly of the brush on the napkin, and I'm going to come by and I'm going to tap, 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 and I'm going to watch my colors mix. So I'm using blue and yellow, so I'm now getting hints of green. Tap to get rid of liquid. Now, if I have too much liquid in my brush, what's going to happen is that it's going to pull, it's going to make puddles on the side walls, on the side of my nails. If I feel like, oh man, that's just a big old puddle of liquid, I'm going to tap my brush on my napkin, and I'm going to tap over the top of my nail to absorb some of that liquid. Pick up a little bit of alcohol. And then just continue to tap. If I take too long, it's going to dry. So first, as you see, it's pretty dark. And then I'm going to pick up some more product. If I feel like, oh man, I went too much, too overboard, I'm going to pick up. Okay? Few things. If you pick up too much, then you just get rid of your design. Okay? If your brush is too wet, then it's just too much liquid on the nail. Okay? Mariah, what are you missing? What? You can take the nail tip and just hold it like this. Do you have the white nail tips? Okay, here you go. Okay, from here. Another thing to notice is that if you take too long, I can come in here and I can tap, 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 and look, watch, I'm gonna just wipe this off. And look, I took too long, and so when you take too long, the permanent marker will stain the nail. And when you tap, 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 you can't move that stain. It stained it. Now, when you put your markers down and then you immediately go over it with your alcohol and you start moving your colors around and you make the ink bloom, it will not stain the nail tip. Okay? So, right now we are using, and if you just wipe, then you got rid of the design. You didn't really do the ink. Now this particular technique, if you look at your palette, it's kind of marble-ish, so you can create this type of design on your nail. Okay, so marble techniques or designs is great with this. Okay, around Easter time when you're doing the robin's eggs technique, this is really great to use this technique with the pastel colors. You can use the permanent markers. You can also use the inks, which we're going to show you how to use those in just a second. Now, we're working on just a nail tip. Okay, it's just a solid nail tip. It's glossy, it's smooth, it's plastic, it spreads well. If you were to polish the nail with regular nail lacquer, white nail lacquer, if you were to do so with with paint, acrylic paint, and let the paint dry, or use your gel polishes and get rid of the sticky inhibition layer so that it doesn't stick on that sticky part. The ink acts different on top of every surface. So you decide, you try them all out and decide what technique, what products you like to use and that you feel work best for you. Some brands of gel work really well with the permanent markers and some brands of gel do not. Okay? If you don't properly cure your gels, then you're just kind of digging a hole into the gel and moving the product instead of depositing your pigment. Okay? So just FYI. All right, that's pretty dry. We're going to pop that one off. You're going to take your second nail tip. We're going to pop that one on. And what we're going to do is I'm going to use my red and blue, but I'm using my red only. And we're going to do this Halloween design. Again, if you don't want to look at it as a Halloween design, you can look at it as just, you're going to do ink of a color, and then you're going to put a flower, heart, or animal on the top of your nail. See it however you need to, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this little design here. Now this, I keep seeing this design on in social media. So this is the cartoony-ish way of doing the spider, opposed to, look at the differences with the spiders. Do you see how one spider is more cartoon, not really anatomically correct, like the way the legs are laying? And look at the way these legs are, okay? More precise, two legs going up, two legs going down, the length of the legs are correct, the size of the belly, head's more long, this one's more round. So if you're doing more of a cartoon, then freehand at this style. If you want more of a intricate, more precise, then you can copy off or, you know, draw and take a look at this for an example as you're drawing. Depends on what your client wants, if they want something more whimsical or something more realistic. Okay, so you have a variety of options. This, what brush do I use? It depends. Do you want to use your dotting tool for the body? So you're going to use the dotting tool to drop a little circle off, or do you want to freehand it with your thin floral brush or the brush that you made? It just depends, okay? Your choice, you just have options. All right, so do you want to freehand it or do you want to transfer it? Your choice. You don't want to do the spider, do a heart, do whatever else, that's okay. So right now, if you take a look at social media, if you're following all the influencers and the people that own product companies that own products, right now in this month, they are putting out for sale their color lines, their new Halloween or fall lines, the different polishes and, you know, glitters and all that kind of stuff. So they're putting it out right now. You, the nail tech, you are watching that online. You're like, oh my gosh, I need those colors. I'm going to order, I'm going to buy. And so you're buying those so that in the month of September, you start doing all of your designs and start marketing yourself so that you have clients in October. Okay? So which is why we're doing the little blood stain with the spider. Okay? You can follow what I'm doing should you choose, or you can again veer off when it's time to veer off for you. You have options. All right, so I'm only going to use the red, okay? You can mix your ink colors together. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you a few things as well. You're going to take your ink, you're going to wipe the belly of the ink, and you're going to drop off. Now you do have to kind of work fairly fast. Take your brush, dip it in your alcohol, and tap it so it's not too wet, and you're going to spread that color. If you have little petals or pools, kind of like these dots here, take your brush, wipe it on your napkin so it doesn't have any liquid. Tap the tip of that little pool and the brush will absorb that liquid, that excess liquid. Now if you take too long, okay, if you you know, just kind of are kind of lollygagging and it just takes you too long to get things together, then it's gonna stain your nail, especially if you're using polish or paint. So you got to work fast. Now the alcohol will not always move, especially this one because it's 70% and 30% water. But with if you have a stain on your nail and you're like, man, I really didn't like it, and your alcohol is not moving it, it will move if you put a little bit more of the polish on there. Okay, so we have a little bit of the blood stain there. Now, you have to understand that the brush that comes in your blooming ink is really thick. So if you want a really nice, fine, thin marble or kind of smoke effect, you know that you can use your thin brush. Take this brush, take it out, that comes in the container. Dip your really, really thin brush into the ink, and then you can apply ink with the really, really thin brush. That is an option, okay? So I'm gonna do that with my second color. So I'm gonna take my blue. I'm gonna take my thin brush. I'm gonna take the brush that came with my polish. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take my little thin brush. I'm going to dip it in my blue. And then I'm just going to randomly come in and I'm just going to add like little squiggly lines just to add some dimension in there, but not really a lot. It's more of a tap than a drag. If you drag, then it's too perfect. It's too symmetrical. It's too linear. You can then take your thin brush and take some alcohol, tap it on your napkin so it's not too wet, and then you can spread your second color and make it bloom. You don't necessarily need to have too much liquid in your brush. If you do have too much liquid, it's gonna pool. Pool as in like it's gonna make a puddle, okay? So when you're doing this, the trick to doing the smoke effect or the robin's egg effect or which robin's egg, there's actually a different technique you can use, but you can make it work with this. Or the marble effect is when you look at Google marble, like natural marble, and look at the patterns that the natural stone creates. And then when you're putting it on your nail, are you doing a vertical line down the middle of the nail? Are you doing a diagonal line? Is it a big smiley face on the free edge? Is it an N at the cuticle area? Is it an S? Is it a zigzag? However you are applying your polish, your ink, it's the design that you're creating. So yeah, sometimes people say, oh, just tap, 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 it's fine. And yeah, it'll give you a cool look, but if you're going for something particular, there is a geometrical sense to it. You do have to sway to one, or like right now I kind of curved it because I want my spider to go right here on the inside of my nail. So I have to pre-plan on how I'm going to do my smoke effect, my blood stain or my marble design, so that when I put my design on my art on top of that, it looks intentional, not just like I just slapped it on there and I'm done. Although the good thing about this, if you do slap it on, it kind of looks good, right? So are you intentional with it, or are you just kind of putting the background effect on your nail? Okay. Remember that you can use the brushes that come in your containers, or you can use your art brushes. Totally your choice. Now, the bigger the brush, the more product you soak up, the more you're going to deposit. Okay. Really quick tip about these. If you put it up to the light and it looks pure, then it's good. Now, I've probably had these for 2 years. One set I have had for 3. So that's 3 classes that have gone through these, okay? And they last a long time. They do evaporate, so kind of like if you leave your marker open, they go bad. So don't leave these open. Don't cap them, fully close them. And when you put it up to the sky, and I threw one away earlier when I was pulling them out because it looked like the orange looked brown, that means that it's contaminated. So if I put red and then I come in and put blue, but I didn't let my red dry, or I used my brush over the red, I just contaminated my brush. And if I put it back in my container, then my whole color changes, okay? And now is a blue violet, right? So always make sure to keep, don't cross-contaminate your colors. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna come in and this is your choice. You can pick a transfer like the spider, and you can do the transfer technique should you choose. You don't have to. Or we're gonna freehand the spider. So I'm gonna freehand the spider. You pick what you like. You can do your gels, you can do your polishes, or you can do your paints. Your choice, okay? I'm gonna do the paint, and I'm gonna put my ring on. Now my ring, it either is going to go on my pointer finger like so. It doesn't go straight up because I hold my client's hand like this, so it goes kind of slanted. Or I'm going to put it on my thumb, and I'm going to hold my client's hand like this so that my paint palette is here. Okay, yes. So thank you for reminding me. So these rings, they're cheapy, okay? So if this bottom breaks off of the palette, then you can use super glue and just glue it together. Or you can use your clear gel. Put a good layer of clear gel, put this on top, make sure the gel is kind of coming out on the outer edges, and cure it, and it'll stick. Alcohol will get rid of a little bit of the sticky layer, okay? You can just put it down on your table if yours is broken for now, okay? But when you do hold it like so. The ring also will expand and go smaller, so it is one of them little cheapy rings that you can adjust to your fingers. Okay. I'm going to take my dotting tool and I'm going to deposit pigment on my palette. And I'm going to go ahead and do my spider. So I'm going to pick up some, I'm going to do more of a character type of spider, not a transfer, so you can see both ways. I'm going to pick up with my dotting tool, I'm going to pick up the belly, pick a product to make the belly, and I'm going to do circle rotation to make a big belly. Pick up some more product, and I'm going to do the head. Okay, again, I'm going to make more of a cartoon-ish type of spider. If your client is more whimsical or wants more of a whimsical design, you can also find transfers that are more character-like, or like the one that you have, that the spider is more real-like, where it's more anatomically correct. Okay. You're then going to take your very, very thin brush and create those legs. Let's see here, my body's a little crooked. You coat your polish on your brush or your gel or your paint. This brush is too thick for, the floor brush is too thick, has too many bristles if you're going to do the transfer. So if you're doing the transfer, you need the brush that you made, because then you need 5 bristles, 5 to 10 bristles. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make our design. I'm going to turn this way. So I'm going to make our little spider legs. And you could do a gel, clear gel over the top of this. You could do a glitter gel, should you choose. You could do a regular clear nail polish over the top. You could do a acrylic overlay. There's different overlays that you can put over the top of this to seal it. Okay, and then that's it. Okay, so you have your spider, you have your spider, you have your inks that you used, that you did for the technique. Okay, how you choose to draw your design, whether it's a transfer or whether it's a transfer, or whether it's going to be your freehand technique design, that's fine too. The best thing about transfers is that if you don't like how your transfer came out, okay, then don't put it on the hand. Fix it on the paper before you put it on the hand. Okay, so let's say that you have this situation where you don't like your spider and your legs are not symmetrical. If you use gel, you can wipe it off. Just literally take napkin and wipe off the gel. Okay, look what happens when you use the paints. It also comes off. But one thing I want to remind you of is that you're working on just the plastic nail. Those acrylic paints, if you were to be working over a nail polish or paint, it actually stains the actual nail plate. Okay, so always know that if you ever mess up, don't get crazy like, oh my gosh, stress out. You can always wipe it off. You can use alcohol, you can use water if it's the paints. Just don't use acetone, because acetone will take off the alcohol design that you have on the bottom. Okay. If you have nail polish that you're using for your designs, that's when the only way to take that off is polish remover, and you're really gonna have to you're gonna take the actual base off with your ink. Okay. So there's different options that you have that you can use. Transfers are just the best because you can pre-make the transfer. If your client says, hey, I send you the picture, you can pre-make the transfer, and you don't have to paint right in front of her when she's staring at you, because it's going to make you nervous, right? You just have the transfers ready off to the side. All right, that is all that I have for you for today. If you will go ahead and start cleaning up. You're not going to turn your nail in. You can keep it if you choose to keep it, but you do not have to keep it.